Thank you for staying with us. The National Liquor Traders Association is encouraging the responsible trading and consumption of alcohol. Now, the body says it is important for revellers to enjoy alcohol responsibly as they usher in the new year. This is the first festive season where there are no COVID-19 restrictions in place. Convener Lucky Ntimane joins me in studio for more. Ntimane, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Now, alcohol consumption is a normal part of our societies, our culture, and it's also meant to be enjoyed as intended, responsibly. As an association, what message are you sending, especially at this time, where oftentimes we see people binge drinking and we see the carnage on the country's roads, which are related to alcohol consumption as well?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Let me start by first sending our compliments of the season to Newzroom Afrika, viewers and listeners at home. It's always been a pleasure to be here, and we are grateful that yet once again you give us a platform to be able to talk to our constituency, to talk to the country at large around issues pertaining to alcohol. Like you have rightfully pointed out, the issue of alcohol is something in the country that we have managed to ignore for a very long time. In fact, I dare say that we have swept it under the carpet, referring to the abuse and misuse of alcohol. And we have seen, in the past few years, I think what the COVID-19 has done was actually to highlight the dangers which irresponsible usage and abuse of alcohol can be for our communities and society at large. So what we have done now is actually to reach out to our liquor traders, to implore them to stick to the license regulations, ensure that they continue to sell alcohol in a responsible way, but also urging our revelers, our customers, our consumers, that as they usher in the new year, they should do so responsibly. Ensure that, when they've had something to drink, they don't get behind the wheel, but also respect those around them, because not everyone drinks alcohol. But if you decide to drink alcohol, do so in a responsible manner and respecting those around you.
Now, born of this necessity would be the industry's responsibility to address, educate, and maybe even amplify the need for people to drink responsibly or moderately during this time. Expand a bit on this particular point.
So the industry, what it has done, it has created a body called aware.org. So any behavioral change program in the country that talks to issues around responsible usage of alcohol, then our sister body, aware.org, is able to tackle those interventions on the ground. But also, South African Breweries has launched what they call sharp, meaning that people must make sharp decisions when choosing to consume alcohol. So we are actually grateful that the alcohol industry has put in money, into these interventions, understanding the dangers that the irresponsible usage of alcohol has on our communities and society at large. But also looking at the festive season now. Heineken has launched its campaign called Speaker Song, meaning we all arrive together, to encourage especially taxi drivers that when they drive, they should take a break almost every hour. And they're putting prices to those taxi drivers that are actually taking those stops. And also, if you look at Distel, they've put in money around the partnership that we have with Santaco as a tripartite alliance to ensure that we encourage especially long distance taxis, that we do some checklists through our Hlokomela champions that we have appointed. We have 100 Hlokomela champions across the country that ensure that the taxi, before it does a taxi ride, it has undergone checklists to ensure that the taxi is in good health to undertake a long journey. So the alcohol industry certainly is doing something about issues that talk to alcohol. But I would like to also state that in order to address some of the issues pertaining to the usage of alcohol, we need to also understand the underlying factors and issues that cause people to drink alcohol the way they do. But alcohol industry cannot certainly be the only solution in addressing these issues. We use civil society, we need communities, we need interest groups, NGOs to come together with us so that we can find ways to address this issue once and for all.
Let's speak to the role of liquor traders themselves, especially during this time, to ensure that they also abide by the regulations as stipulated in their license as well. Oftentimes, especially in townships, we also see a situation where liquor traders also abuse their licenses and go even beyond the operating hours. Give us a sense of what you are ensuring to ensure that what you are doing to ensure that your members actually abide by their license regulations.
So we are running campaigns across the country, especially this festive season, to encourage our liquor traders to abide by the license conditions. So if we look into the conditions of licensing in South Africa, because we have 9 provinces, it means we have 9 different liquor laws. So each and every province has got its own liquor law, meaning a tavern in the Eastern Cape will operate different to a tavern in Gauteng based on the conditions that are in that particular license. But one commonality is the responsible selling of alcohol. And there's no excuse on that. I mean, underage drinking, for example, is consistent across all the liquor license conditions. The closing hours, not making noise that will distract, your neighbors, it's consistent in all the license conditions across all the 9 provinces. So what we have done is to encourage and remind our liquor traders, to abide by those regulations,
right.
Ensure that, they do not have to close at 2 o'clock as a license permit. They can close early because they have to, take care of their neighbors. They have to almost have a heart, as it were. And we've always said that we need to put the needs of our people first and not the profits. And we know that there are liquor traders, in our midst that continue to ignore the license conditions, that continue to serve alcohol to underage, that continue to sell alcohol to people that are visibly drunk. And, we are reporting those to law enforcement officials. We have a very good working relationship with the Minister of Police, as well as the National Police Commission and all the provincial commissioners in all the provinces. And we hope that this partnership is going to help us to ensure that we create safe zones in liquor outlets to ensure that when people visit our outlets, they are safe.
A big concern that's been raised by law enforcement authorities is that of people or pedestrians found drinking and walking.
Yes.
So it's no longer just a situation of people being found drinking and driving anymore. Now you have a large number of pedestrians who are also end up getting cars colliding into them because of the state that they are in. Speak to us about some of the concerns that law enforcement officials have actually raised in recent times.
Actually, what you've highlighted now is a much bigger issue, and I think we haven't spoken much about it. It's actually a much bigger problem than drink and drive. There's more fatalities on the road caused by jaywalking than by car accidents involving people that have consumed alcohol. So what we have done in that regard as our alcohol industry was actually to employ patrollers. In the past 2 seasons, we had over 1,000 patrollers across 5 key provinces that we had identified had high incidents of jaywalking deaths, which is the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, KZN, Gauteng, as well as Mpumalanga. So what we did is these patrollers will then frequent taverns at night, and when the patrons are done, enjoying themselves and they're walking home, then these patrollers will walk them home. But that is a campaign that, we only ran during festive season. But I feel that, it's a campaign that we should almost inculcate in our culture and our society in terms of, providing that safety and security that is required for our patrons. But also, liquor traders can assist in this regard to ensure that they do not serve alcohol beyond the limit to those that are consuming it, so that when they are done drinking, they can walk home safely without having to worry about their safety. Because if you lose a patron, your profits are going to be affected. So a sustainable business is not only good for our tavern trade, but it's also good for ensuring that we work together with society and community to ensure that ours is a safe zone where people will feel free to come and enjoy alcohol.
How do you think that message is resonating, especially with the liquor traders, to conduct their businesses in a much more responsible manner? Would you say that they are actually following suit, or your members actually following suit?
So we have about 39,000 taverns in the country. And, the main issue is that those that do not comply actually seem to amplify, their bad behavior to overshadow the actions of those that actually are complying. And we deal with this every day, where liquor traders, especially the big complaints that we're getting over the festive season, is around closing times, around noise. It's around underage, serving alcohol to those that are under the age of 18. But we continue to communicate the message to our liquor traders. But we know that those that do not listen will need the law to take its course. Hence, we have a very good working relationship with all the liquor boards across all the 9 provinces, as well as all the police across all the 9 provinces. So we are able to call police and alert them, to a transgression taking place at a particular tavern, and police are able to act swiftly, like the issue in the Eastern Cape, where 3 lives were lost. I mean, the liquor board there was swift in taking action and suspending the license, and the police was swift, to take action and arresting the perpetrator in that regard.
And any final thoughts, especially as we enter into a new year and many festivities expected as we usher in 2023?
The first message to liquor traders is that they must continue to sell alcohol in a responsible way. Let us put the needs of our people first and profits last. But also to revellers and consumers, let us celebrate knowing that there is still 2023 to be lived. This is not the end of it. Let's consume alcohol in a responsible way and protect those around us, our loved ones.
You've heard from Lucky Ntimane from the Liquor Traders Association there.